You know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. That's right, folks. Time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. And yeah, it's just a lot of things going on in the world today. Man, I just don't understand how some of these things get a chance to happen. And it's really sad, man, because while you have people out there that are claiming that they're this, they're that, I'm woke, I'm involved, I'm doing this and that. To be honest, it's a lot of stuff going on that is really, really sketchy, and it seems as though I see more people involved in the NBA playoffs as they are with everyday life, and it's a bunch of crap going on, man. It's being pulled right before your eyes, and nobody's doing anything about it. So you got the Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger this past Friday publicized the names of more than 100,000 people who could have their voter registration canceled. And Raffensperger said 101,789 obsolete voter files include 67,286 voter files associated with a national change of address form submitted to the U.S. Postal Service. There you go, the Postal Service popping up. Go to Postal Service popping up in the middle of some mess again. 34,227 voter files that had election mail returned to sender. There you go to Postal Service again. So almost 100,000 people have been removed from the voter rolls in the state of Georgia. And those two things, 67,000 and 34,000, all that have to do with the Postal Service. And only 276 that had no contact with election officials over the last 5 years, for at least 5 years. And the Secretary of State's office removes voter files monthly for felony convictions and death. But scrapping nearly 102,000 people from the voter rolls could be a first major cleaning since 2019, making sure Georgia's voter rolls are up to date. That this is what they claim is the key to ensuring the integrity of the elections. That's Raffensperger said in a statement. And the bottom line, there's no legitimate reason to keep ineligible voters on the rolls. So state officials said they are notifying those affected by the upcoming cancellations, and voters have 40 days to save their registrations before they are eliminated. 40 days. So when are you going to send the paperwork? Are you going to send the paperwork on the 39th day? Okay. People whose registrations are canceled can also re-register. And voting rights advocates rebuked Raffensperger over the cancellations, saying they would also be reaching out to the people on the list to ensure their registrations are not removed. The last time Secretary Raffensperger conducted a massive voter purge, he was forced to admit 22,000 errors. So that means 22,000 Georgia voters who would have been kicked off the rolls, or if it not for the Fair Fight Action's diligence, they were going to be removed from the voter rolls in the state of Georgia. So this time, who knows how many? You talking about 100,000 people. Who knows how many of those people are actually eligible, still really truly eligible to vote because of errors. So people, wake up. And don't be wasting your time on stupidity, man, and on nonsense. Here's another story, man. It's really a tragic story of an 11-year-old girl, 11-year-old black girl that was killed after the New York State Trooper rams the family's SUV after a traffic stop. And the father stated that the trooper is to blame. And this happened back in December, on December 22nd of 2020. A black mother and father lost one of their two children after a New York State Trooper rammed the family's SUV with his patrol car. According to state police officials, the collision occurred when the driver fled after being pulled over. But the driver tells a much fuller story involving the description of egregious police violence and unnecessary aggressiveness. 6 months later, the state trooper is on desk duty, and the incident that ended the 11-year-old black girl's life is still being investigated. Trisha Goods, 39, stated that he was he was driving his wife, April, and his daughters, 11-year-old Monica and 12-year-old Tristina, to visit relatives when the family was pulled over for speeding by a state trooper identified as Christopher Badner. And it's a crazy story, man. It's a crazy story. You know, it's like, here's what the father said. Goods said the trooper yelled at him during the stop. He was screaming at me, "You were going 100 miles per hour and you shook my car." I said, "The tractor trailer in front of me shook your car. I had my hands on the steering wheel and I didn't get out the car. I was no threat to him." Goods said, "I asked for a supervisor." The two argued, with the trooper demanding to know if there were any guns or drugs in the car. And his wife said she was tired, and he said, "I don't give a crap if you're tired." The trooper returned to his cruiser, and when he returned, he flooded Goods' SUV with pepper spray. Goods said the trooper was well aware there were young girls in the car when he sprayed. He didn't warn us he was going to use pepper spray. He didn't say, "Get out the car," or "We're under arrest." He just sprayed the car with pepper spray. He said his daughters were crying and he feared for his family's safety, so instinctively he said he drove off. I didn't know what he was going to do next. Good said, "I was like, oh man, this guy's going to kill us." And Badner records show that he gave chase and used his state police car to ram the back of Goods' SUV. About 8 seconds later, Goods said Badner rammed his car a second time. And so a news release published by the state police didn't add any further context. All it says is that state police attempted to stop a vehicle on I-87 in the town of Rooster for a vehicle traffic violation. And that shortly after the traffic stop was initiated, the driver fled the scene northbound and a pursuit ensued. It also mentions that Monica wasn't wearing a seatbelt when the trooper rammed the family's SUV, and that she was pronounced dead at the scene. And it was reported that after Badner rammed the SUV a second time, it hit a guardrail, flipped and rolled, and Monica was ejected from the vehicle. Good was the only other person in the vehicle who had reported injuries. According to the news release, his injuries were serious but non-life-threatening, and he was transported to Kingston Hospital and later transferred to Westchester Medical Center for treatment. It's unclear if he was ever arrested or charged with a crime. Good said that after the crash, he tried to leave the SUV to find his daughter, but Badner pointed his gun at him and questioned him again about whether he had any guns or drugs in the car. "What did I do? What threat did I pose?" Good asked through his tears. And it's just so hurtful. This guy was crazy. It's illegal what he did. He also said that after the crash, his other daughter, Tristina, who had survived the impact with no reported injuries, was questioned by police for 4 hours without a parent present. According to NBC, to the state attorney general, Letitia James announced an investigation into Monica's death on December 28th. Good's attorney, Joseph O'Connor, told the story and stated that he and his team are confident that our client's accounts of what happened are consistent with the scientific evidence and the forensic evidence from the scene. Wow. This guy, man, rammed the car, man, with a family, man, a family with kids in the car. Just straight out rammed the car, man. Made the car turn over. And, wow. That's really crazy. That's some really crazy stuff going on in the world today. Now, this last story here is really, really over the top. You got an Ohio police officer on leave after driving over a black shooting victim who later died. So a police officer in Ohio has been placed on leave after a dash cam video showed her patrol car driving over a shooting victim lying on a street. Authorities said the man died soon after. The incident occurred on the night of June 13th when Springfield police officer Amanda Rosales was responding to a 911 call about a shooting on West Liberty Avenue. According to the video from inside of the cruiser, Ms. Morales was driving the car when she struck an already bleeding Eric Cole. Cole, a black man, was flown to a hospital but was pronounced dead shortly afterwards. Police Chief Lee Graff said at the news conference on Wednesday that the cause of death, however, is unclear at the moment, and Montgomery County Coroner's Office is working to determine it. Even though police have called it an accident, Cole's family has asked why they were not immediately informed about Ms. Morales' vehicle, Rosales' vehicle running over him. They were not informed that he had got ran over. The lead officer was trying to catch the addresses on the house. Eric was lying in the street. Police Chief Lee Graff said during a tense media briefing by Cole's relatives, he said, just because it was an accident doesn't mean it was okay. It was an accident. This was not an intentional act on the part of the officer, and this is what the police chief was saying. The dash cam video released to the several media outlets shows Cole lying in the street in a white shirt and blue shorts. The shirt was covered in blood when the police car arriving at the scene struck him. Ohio State Highway Patrol is investigating the vehicle pedestrian accident, while Springfield Police Division is probing the shooting incident. So, Ms. Rosales has been placed on administrative leave, and Cole's mother, Regina Wilson, however, was unconvinced by the explanation offered by the police, and she asked, why were they not told that Rosales had ran over her son? So that's kind of tricky, man. You know, you're talking about people that are out there supposed to be like protecting and serving, and they just ran this guy over. I want the officer held accountable. Just like if they get the suspect, they want to hold him accountable, and that's what the person that got killed, that's what his parents were stating. So, I'm telling you folks, a lot of crazy stuff going on out here in the world today, and all the time while you sitting there worried about what's going on with the new Jordans, your voting rights are being taken away. All kind of rights are being destroyed. Plus, you got people that are still being murdered and still being killed by the cops.
And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video
KP's
News.
Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News.
KP's Video News, y'all.